This is Kelly Kucharczyk from Project MedTech. We're at Project MedTech's event in Philadelphia today. It's a startup symposium. And Kelly, before we even unpacked, I was always like, you got to talk to Kelly, and she has a question from a client. So what's your question, Kelly?
Thank you, Rob. The question is, I have a client who is very interested in doing the documentation required just to submit a 510K. And I'm having the conversation around why is it important and why do they need to do the rest of the design history file and follow the design control process, including risk management.
Okay. So we can't teach everybody all of design controls, risk management all in one sitting, but they are correct that as far as design controls go, the FDA asks you to submit the test report, which is the end of the design process. You start with your plan and then your inputs and your outputs and your verification protocol, and then you execute it. The final document is what the FDA wants. But they assume and they say in writing, you shall do all the other stuff because when we inspect you, you'll have to have that ready for us. Now, you could create that retrospectively, either after you get your 483 from the FDA or before you get your 483 from the FDA. But I can tell you from experience, firsthand and secondhand and thirdhand, it is easier to create as you're doing the work than after the fact, a year later when you've forgotten everything.
And, particularly important is going through the process because we know there's a lot of documentation. Mm-hmm. We know that it's a beefy process to get through, but it is a very methodical process that forces you to analyze everything about your device so you don't get to the end, try to put a product on the market and realize there are all these risks or design inputs that you didn't appropriately characterize. So making those changes after you have clearance and a product is on the market is a lot more costly.
The concern that a lot of people have is it's not done yet, it's not ready yet, it's not final yet. Every variation of that I've heard. But nobody ever said in any regulation or standard that you can't put it in writing before it's final. The intent is to revise and update it as the project progresses. It does say that in writing.
A living document.
Yes, so you start with a draft and you change it. And do you have to have your entire team sign and date it in blood because they made a revision? No, it's in design. So you're allowed to have a draft that is made in crayon if you wish. It can be digital and you make edits all the time. It could be in a Google Doc and doesn't have any protection whatsoever. You have to put controls in at some point before you go to market. But during the design process, how loosey-goosey your controls are is entirely up to you. Usually the tight controls are management driven, not FDA driven. Because management doesn't want you to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on testing and then say, oops, we made a mistake. Let's do that again. Oh, sure, here, let me pull up the other 100,000 that I don't have.
100%.
So that's why we write this stuff down. It is okay to make revisions. It's okay for it to be a draft. And it's so easy to create these when you have a template. And for $400, you can have all our templates and all our revisions to them and ask me questions. They'll make great topics for videos like this. On the risk management side, that's an area where 10 years ago I was writing blogs and doing videos telling people that you don't really need some of this risk management documentation for the 510K. Not that you don't need it, you just don't need to attach it to your 510K.
In the submission.
That has changed for 3 different reasons. Number one, half of our products now have software. So you need to attach a risk management file, the entire risk management file for the software. That's number one. Number two, we have cybersecurity risk concerns now. So you have to attach a cybersecurity risk analysis, a threat management model. I mean, all these things for cybersecurity. More documents than you have to do for software. And then we also have, go figure, every once in a while somebody might use the product incorrectly, might not read the directions. I am guilty of not reading almost all directions. But if you don't read the directions, you make use errors, you have a use use-related risk analysis or URRA that you have to submit to address that, and you have to do a study for that. So all the use-related risk stuff has to be done. The cybersecurity stuff has to be done. The software stuff has to be done. So yes, it is true that you don't have to submit that risk management documentation for a Band-Aid in your submission. But that's the first thing they're going to look at when they come look at your design history file. Why? Because they know it hasn't been looked at before. Number two, they are adopting the QMSR in February 2nd of next year, and they put out all this training on. Now we're going to be looking more at risk management files. We're going to be training all our inspectors on 14971. So expect exactly what you're fearful of is going to happen. They're going to say, okay, now we're going to look at design controls. I'd like to see your design control procedure, your risk management procedure, your design change control procedure, your design transfer procedure, and I'd like to see your DHF and all your records, and we'll be here all day.
No, it's wonderful. Well, I appreciate the answer. Very succinct. I think it's such a critical element to bringing a product to market that's safe, effective, and going to meet the commercial needs of your company and your users. It's critical.
The risk management one, if it's an electrical device, and you didn't mention anything about the client, you don't have to, but if it's an electrical product, electrically powered in any way, that risk management file will be the number one thing that's going to hold them back, because the electrical safety company that does all their testing, they need the entire risk management file. And when you send them an Excel spreadsheet that's 10 slides long, that's not enough, because they're going to give you an 80-page checklist saying, where in your risk management file can I find this, before they can even start your electrical safety testing. So if it's an electromedical device in any way, shape, or form, even battery powered, you're screwed if you don't have a risk management file.